I'm Bryn, and I'm here at the Uniontown Area YMCA. I teach yoga here, lots of different types like slow flow, power yoga, yin yoga. So I hope you join us and enjoy. Namaste. Hi, today we're going to do a short post-run yoga stretch. This is a sequence that I like to do after running. I've been running since I was 11 years old, and now I mostly run on trails. I've done maybe 5 or 7 ultra marathons, and have some FKT trail records. So I love running, and it's my passion as well as yoga. So I hope that this benefits your practice as well. So when I finish running, in a standing position, usually you're outside, but you can do this just on your yoga mat, not right after a run, but maybe later in the day or whenever it suits you. But definitely don't do it before a run. We all know that, right? So stretch your arms up over your head. Take a big inhale. And exhale, fold forward at the waist. Just a standing forward fold to decompress from the run. While you're here, notice the weight distribution on the feet. Try to even that out so you're not sinking way back in the heels or rocking forward too far on the toes. Spread your 10 toes. And then hold opposite elbow with opposite hand. Like a rag doll, just hanging. Your feet can be hip width distance apart, or even a little more if you need the stability. Put a little bend in the knees, and then flex your quadriceps, like you're lifting your kneecaps. That'll protect your hamstrings as you stretch here. You can sway from side to side, beginning to breathe in and breathe out through the nose. Start to let the elbows go. Inhale to come up halfway. You're making an L shape with the body. And then turn your toes out at an angle. Your heels turn in just a little bit. And then start to squat down. So your butt comes down into a little squat. This is usually the first thing I do after, especially a long run. Now, some of us have sensitive knees, so if this does not work for you, you can do the same thing on your back. Same position with the legs. That will take the pressure off of the knees. But if you're okay like this, then let the butt come all the way down. Stretching out the hips, the hip flexors, especially compressing those. Your heels might not touch the mat, and that's okay. You can always be on the balls of your feet and roll another yoga mat or a towel under the heels. Focusing on the inhale and the exhale. One more breath in, big inhale. And exhale, put your hands in front of you. Straighten the legs, point the toes forward again. You're coming back to the standing forward fold. From here, bend your knees enough, might be a lot. Bend the knees a lot so that your whole hand can come down. The heel of the hand, your 10 fingers down on the mat. And you'll step back about 3 to 4 feet, depends on your height. So you're in an inverted V position known as downward facing dog. Look forward between your hands, take a big inhale, keep the body in this position. Exhale, just bow your head in so the chin comes toward the sternum. Let your head hang like this so you have space in the back of the neck. This stretches the entire back of the body, the backs of the legs, the back, the hips. Now bend the left knee and straighten the right leg and draw the flesh of the outer right hip back. So you feel a deeper stretch in the back of the right leg. a big inhale and exhale, switch. Bend the right knee and straighten the left leg. You're isometrically dragging the left foot back. Straighten both legs now. Look forward between your hands and step the right foot all the way forward. Stay on the ball of the back foot. The left heel is lifted. You're in a low runner's lunge now. You can be on your fingertips or make fists and rest on the fists. Now scissor your hips toward one another, so the right hip draws back, left hip draws forward. So you are finding strength in this pose as you stretch. That'll help you stretch safer. And now gently bend the left knee, bring it all the way down to the mat. Walk the right foot out to the edge of the mat. Bring your hands on the inside of the right foot. Your right knee is over the right ankle for now. Inhale, pull the heart forward, and exhale to settle here. Your back foot, you can untuck it, so the top of the foot is down, or keep the toes tucked. That'll change the position of the kneecap on the mat, so do what works for you. If this puts pain on the kneecap, then put a towel or something soft under the knee. Now, if you're pretty flexible and you don't feel anything here, you do want to feel something, but not too much, then you can bring the left forearm down. If that's good, if that doesn't cause pain, you bring the right forearm down. Breathing into the depth of the stretch. You'll feel it maybe on the back of the right hamstring, on the front of the left hip. Come back to the palms of your hands if you came down to the forearms. Straighten the back leg so the left knee lifts. Step the right leg back, you're in downward facing dog again. Take a deep inhale here. And exhale, sigh it out of the mouth. Look forward between your hands. Step the left foot forward, staying in that low runner's lunge to start. The right knee is lifted. Spread the collarbones apart, pull the heart forward, looking forward, and then draw the left hip back and the right hip forward, so you create a scissoring action in the hips. Take a big inhale through the nose, and exhale, bend the right knee, bring it slowly down to the mat. Take your left hand now on the inside of the left foot, keeping the elbows straight for now. And again, you can bring the top of the right foot down, or you can keep the toes tucked. It's up to you. Put something under that kneecap if you need it. And try to send the breath way deep into the belly, into the back, and between the ribs, so you feel it in the whole torso. If you're not feeling anything here, start by coming down to the right forearm. If that's okay, come down to the left forearm. But never forcing a stretch. And settling into the pose. We have a few breaths here. Breathing tension out of the neck and the shoulders, which can get tight from that 90-degree bend in the arms while we're running. Inhale, come back to your hands. Exhale, tuck the back toes, lift the right knee, step straight back to downward facing dog. There's one yoga pose you can do every day after a run. This is a good one. Inhale, look forward between your hands. Step the right foot forward. Spin the left heel in 45 degrees. We'll breathe in, come all the way up to warrior one. This is more of a strengthening pose. We're gonna straighten the right leg, flex the quadricep so that you have an active front leg, and fold forward over that straight right leg. Okay, this is a tricky one, so you might need blocks. Put them under your hands. You might need to shorten the stance between the legs. The back foot turns in 45 degrees. Draw the right outer hip back. You can put your hand on your right hip bone and pull it back. This is pyramid pose. And then bow down. Keeping strength in the legs, again, that's to protect so that we don't overstretch. Breathing space into the back of the neck. Make sure you're not crunching the neck here. A lot of us tend to focus on forward bending after running, but we want to twist and do back bends as well. So we're gonna add a twist here. This is revolve triangle pose. A block is helpful. You can come to your fist, come to your fingertips, or your flat palm. The block can be really high. Take your right hand to your right hip, lift the right arm up to the sky. Scissoring the hips, that'll help you balance better in this pose. You'll start to feel the IT band, the outer hip. And instead of scrunching into the twist, try to elongate the spine. If you just had a really hard run, you're definitely going to feel this one. Breathing in, lengthen through the arms and the legs. Breathing out, come back to pyramid pose and step straight back to downward facing dog. Step the left foot forward, coming into the other side. Spin the right heel in 45 degrees. The left knee is over the left ankle. Inhale, come all the way up to warrior one. I like to do this because it stretches out the back ankle, the ankle of the right foot, the soleus, the calf. Inhale, straighten the left leg, flex the left quadricep, draw the right hip forward, left hip back, and then fold over that straight front leg. You might need blocks, you might need to step the right foot in. Look at your 2 feet so that they're about hip width distance apart. Inhale, come halfway up, and exhale, fold forward. Use the blocks if you need to. If you don't have blocks, you can use anything else like water bottles. Breathing in, lengthens the body, and breathing out, deepens. Inhale, come up halfway. We'll take the twisted version of Trikonasana triangle pose. So find your block instead of under the right hand if you need it. Take your left hand to your left hip. Draw it back, like you're lengthening the hip away from the left armpit. Reach the left arm up to the sky. Scissoring the hips. Even squeezing the muscles of those legs can help you stabilize in the pose. And then come into the breathing. Breathing in, the spine elongates, and breathing out, we twist open. Inhale, so bring the left hand down, plant your hands, and step back to downward facing dog again. Lower your knees down to the mat and tuck your toes behind you. You can stay how you are on your mat. I'm just going to turn so that you can see my toes. Tucking all 10 toes and sitting back on the heels. This might not feel so great. So if it's really intense, you can lean forward. If you're okay with it, you can lean the weight back, stretching out the bottoms of the feet. You don't really want to do this ever when you're cold because the bottom of the feet is made of fascia, connective tissue. It's not conducive to stretching, especially when it's cold. So don't really do this unless it's right after a run and you're very warm. You can interlace the hands behind you. If you need to do something with your arms, you can hold opposite elbow with opposite hand. Two more breaths. Now from here, come back to your hands and your knees, tuck your toes, and we'll come back to downward facing dog. Bring your two toes to touch behind you. Inhale to lift the right leg high behind you, and then turn the right hip open, bend the knee to stretch out now the front of the right hip. At the same time, you don't want to collapse the left side body, so pull the left hip back. Press your strong hands into the mat. Big inhale. Exhale, straighten the leg. Square off the hip. Step the right foot forward between the hands. Lower the back knee down to the mat. We're coming into what's known as pigeon pose, and I'll show you the first version, and then I'll show you the modification. So walk the right foot across the mat until the shin comes down. Your right ankle will be near the left hip bone. Draw the right hip back and the left hip forward. Look at your right ankle. You want to make sure it's not bending like this. That's not good. That's called sickling. You want to press the pinky toe side of the foot into the mat or the floor so there's no sickling in the inner right ankle. Big inhale here, and then exhale, come down to the forearms. If this puts pain or pressure on the knee, you can do the same pose on your back. So you'll come down, take the right ankle on top of the left thigh and hold the back of the left hamstring or the front of the left shin. It's the same pose, same stretch. And this is just supine. So take your pick. If you're on your back, lifting your head to the back of the mat. And flex the right toes back toward the right knee. This is if you're on your back doing this pose. Keep an active foot here. That'll protect the knee. If you're doing the sleeping pigeon version where you're upright, then you can bring the forehead down to the mat or to the backs of your hands. You want to keep the hips squared off so you're not rocking off to the side. Keep pressing the pinky toe side of that front foot into the mat. Inhale, come all the way up. Press that to downward facing dog. Bring your two big toes to touch. We'll come into the other side. Inhale, lift the left leg high behind you. Press strongly into your hands as you bend the left knee, open up the hip. Draw the right hip back in space. Straighten the left leg, square off the hip. Step the left foot forward between the hands. Start to walk the left foot over toward the right hand. You don't have to bring the shin parallel to the front of the mat. That actually puts too much pressure on the knee. So your left heel will be around the right hip bone. Now, if you feel sharp shooting pain in the knee, then you don't do this version. You come on your back, left ankle, top of right thigh, hold the back of the right leg or the front of the right shin. It's up to you. And again, I didn't say this on the other side, but if this is even too much, you can keep the foot on the ground. Whatever keeps the spine nice and straight. If you're like this and your head is leaning back like that, then definitely bring the foot down. But if you're here and you don't feel a stretch, then you are kind of just wasting time in that pose. So then take this deeper version. Drawing the left hip back, the right hip forward, so the hips stay square, you're not rocking off to the side. If you can't go deeper, then make a pillow with your hands, rest the forehead on the back of the hands. And as you come up, press your palms into the mat, tuck your back toes, and step back to downward facing dog. You might need to shake that leg out, pedal up the feet, and then come down to your knees. You're going to come through to a seated position, taking your legs out into a straddle. If your straddle looks like this, then take a walk, and you can sit on it, or you can sit on pillows, bolsters, whatever you have, books, you can sit on books, so you're nice and upright in the spine. So post-run, I like to think about stretching the 6 planes of the body. So we did a lot of forward folding, so that's the back of the body, opening the front of the body, twisting right, twisting left, and now side bending right and side bending left, so that your post-run stretch stays nice and balanced. So we're going to take a side bend, holding the right ankle or the right shin with the right hand. Reach the left arm up to the sky. Press the back of the left leg down. And you might feel a stretch on that left low back, up the rib cage. Taking it as deep as you'd like, or that is good for your body, not too deep. That left leg stays nice and active. Breathing, yoga doesn't work if we don't breathe. And if you're just totally zonked from your run, you can let that arm hang. You can even support the back of your head. You can bend the elbow and rest your cheek on the elbow. This one you can stay in and hang out for quite some time, even up to 3 minutes or so. We're just going to do one more breath here. Inhale, come up, and come straight to the other side. Holding the top of the left shin, reach the right arm straight up to the sky. Make that right leg nice and active. Root it down into the earth, and begin to bend to the left without collapsing forward. Stay nice and open. Draw the shoulders away from the ears. Bend the top elbow if you want to, and then make a nice resting stand with the left wrist for your cheek. Breathing into where you feel it the most in this pose. hands under the knees, bring your ankles together, and we'll come all the way down onto the mat. We'll take a bridge pose here. And again, if you have blocks, this is really nice to open the front of the hips. You'll spread your 10 toes, and then press the big toes down and let your other toes just softly rest on the mat. Your heels are just as wide as the hips, and maybe just a little pigeon toe with the toes. Pick the spine and the hips up. If you have a block, so you can stay here if you don't have any props, but it's nice to put a block right underneath the sacrum, which is the triangular bony part of the low spine. Let the hips settle down. And if it's safe, you can stretch the right leg forward and the left to get more into the psoas and the abdomen. You can stretch the arms overhead. This is a nice restorative pose, one that you can hold for quite some time if you don't feel any pressure on the low back. If you do, then you take the low setting of the block, the proper the block. Keep a steady, rhythmic breath. Even in these static poses, try to keep a steady, rhythmic breath. Now bend your knees, lift your hips to come up out of the pose. And the final pose will be very restorative. It's called legs up the wall. And you don't need a wall to do this. You can do it against your couch, against the headboard of your bed, or you can just stick your legs up without the support of the wall. Taking the legs straight up the wall, and how far away you are from the wall is how open your hamstrings are, so you can be totally flush with the wall, but if that doesn't work, then you can just come farther away. Letting the eyes close, letting the lactic acid flush out of the legs. Place the right hand on the belly, the left hand on the heart. Take a deep inhale all the way down to the tips of the toes, the top of the head, and the fingertips. And exhale, sigh it out. Two more times. Inhale. And exhale. Big inhale, filling up the body with breath. And exhale, let it go. If you have the time to stay here, please do. But if you need to move on, bend your knees, roll to one side. Coming into a seated position, crossing one leg in front of the other, or sitting back on the heels. Pressing the palms together. Take a big inhale. And exhale, bowing the head to the heart. Namaste, happy running.